2024 was a fantastic year for me as I was able to visit 18 different zoos. In case if you're new here, I absolutely love going to zoos, aquariums, farms, anywhere that has animals. It really is just this nice special feeling. Maybe it has something to do with the nostalgia factor where it was where my family took me whenever they wanted to get a break from me, or maybe it's just something to do with being connected with the natural world or learning about some species that are on the complete other side of it. Going to zoos and aquariums, it just makes me feel complete. But in 2024, again, I was able to visit 18 of them, and I did this in previous years before, so we're going to take some time for this new year and kind of look at the 18 zoos and rank them from worst to best of the ones that I went to. Now, keep in mind, all of these zoos are rated on like this little scale that I created for myself. It basically takes into account like animal selection, amenities and cleanliness, theming, perceived welfare, and just overall vibes. Vibes is kind of what I rate the zoo for myself, and then it tallies it all together with like an averaging system. I don't know, it's very weird, but let's talk about it. Here are all of the zoos rated that I was able to go to in 2024. Number 18 on the list is Daggett Farm, formerly Slater Park Zoo. Now this one kind of snuck in because technically it was a zoo in a previous life, but now it's just a petting zoo, which typically I wouldn't include, but I feel like the novelty of this place kind of makes it stand out for itself. So Daggett Farm is a petting zoo located in Pawtucket, Rhode Island. I was able to visit here actually twice this year, which was fun. But the coolest part about this place, which really, it's not about the animals here, it's really about the history that they have. They have a few like informative kind of like historical artifacts in here, like the bill of sale for the original resident, the elephant, I guess. Happy the Elephant. No, not Happy the Elephant. That's Bronx. That's much later down the list on here. But no, Fanny the Elephant. I know, it's a very, very stupid name. But Fanny the Elephant is known as like a Rhode Island celebrity to many old folks around here. Sorry to date you guys a little bit, but it's true. I don't know any young person who knows about Fanny the Elephant. But yeah, it's kind of interesting to visit this place if you're ever in the area. It's rated so low because there's not really much to do around here, and it's not really worth like going out of your way to visit. But if you're in the area, it's always worth a nice little stop. It's really, really cool if you're able to kind of sneak backstage and kind of explore the old habitats that they had for Fanny the Elephant and like the Monkey Island and stuff like that. So it really is just this kind of interesting place. It's kind of stuck in time, but they're doing their best with whatever animals they have currently. They have like some very not too crazy exotic animals. I think they have like alpine goat and like a Shetland pony. They definitely have like the dwarf Sicilian donkey. That's a really cool one to have, and some like domestic guinea fowl. I'm really stretching the bill over here on what to say about this place, but it is cool if you're able to visit. But again, it's last on the list. So let's pop over to number 17. Number 17 is Capron Park Zoo, and I feel so badly that it's so low on the list, but I feel like Capron Park Zoo as of late has just been getting like kind of hit, and it's just always not a good thing to see. Unfortunately, this kind of stuff happens in the zoo world. It's what happens when you're taking care of animals, that they either die or the buildings need to be refurbished or the animals need to go to a different place. Capron Park Zoo has some cool animals. I mean, they have the lion, they have the kangaroo. I think they should just have one kangaroo left. They have a pretty neat tropical house, and they also used to have sloth bear. Unfortunately, Vicky has no longer, she moved out of there. She moved out of Capron, and now she's at the National Zoo, which I think is a much better habitat for the sloth bear. Now, I have heard word that they are maybe going to be refurbishing like that entire little area for like the lions and the bears, wherever that little circle or square is. I don't know shapes, but overall Capron Park Zoo is just it's very decent if you're hoping to spend like, you know, around like 30 to an hour at a zoo. It's nothing crazy. It's a lot better if you bring someone, like, let's just say you're going with your kid or your niece or your nephew or something like that. It's definitely a lot better of a park for that. But overall, I just think that there's just better facilities in, like, Rhode Island and Massachusetts that aren't too far out of the way from this place, and I think that you might be better off spending your time at those places. But Capron Park Zoo is pretty cool. I'm not sure where it currently stands, where their indoor areas are fully refurbished now or not, but I would definitely look into that before you go. Once they're open, I really do think it is worth a quick visit if you haven't gone before, but overall, it's a pretty aight zoo. It got 26 points out of like my rating system over here, 5.2. So that's really how I feel about Capron Park Zoo, but it's still decent. But let's move on from here. Let's go to number 16. Number 16 is Biomes Marine Biology Center, and this place is pretty cool. I personally love Biomes. I think it's a really, really cool place, especially given the fact that it helps so many people get a much bigger interest in marine biology. And they also have some really cool species in here too. They have like horseshoe crabs, they have remoras, which is really awesome. But they just have a lot of interactive and like very educational exhibits that help you learn about the native species in the Rhode Island waters, in the local waters of like New England, which I think is invaluable. I really do, because they don't focus too much on exotic species in here. They have like a Florida mangrove exhibit, which is kind of cool. They have like Leavitt's permits or pompanos. I can't remember what exactly it is, but they do have that stuff in there. And they have like a few like freshwater tanks for kind of explaining like ethical freshwater fish tank keeping, which is awesome. Including a black ghost knifefish, which is one of my favorite species out there. But overall, Biomes is just a fairly decent place to visit. They have a ton of cool species, but my main issue with Biomes comes from the fact that the theming really isn't all there. There are some very cool things, like their lobster education is so cool. It is just so freaking awesome. But a lot of the exhibits and a lot of the tanks just feel kind of dirty, and I know that algae buildup is a thing and stuff like that, but it just feels like, I don't know, I feel like they can do a lot more with what they have, especially given the fact that if you compare Biomes, which is a fish-centered kind of like quote-unquote strip mall zoo, I'm really hesitant to give it that label right there, but another one that comes to mind is Riverside Reptiles, and if you compare their exhibition of their animals to Biomes, you can obviously see that Riverside Reptiles does a much cleaner job with presenting their animals, and I really think that Biomes could benefit from shaping themselves up just a little bit. I absolutely love the work that they do, and they were the original place that got me involved in marine biology, and they're the kind of catalyst which set me on the path of life that I am right now. I can't thank them enough for that. But I really wish that Biomes would just kind of clean themselves up a little bit, because the tanks are great. Like, I think that the welfare there is pretty good for what you get, but I think overall they could just do a little bit better with the presentation. I think that they could lean a lot more into that sort of semi-industrial nautical vibe that they have going on. But I don't know, that's really how I feel about Biomes. I think it's absolutely worth it if you're new to the area or you're just looking for something else to do, especially for the kids. It is such a it's a magical place for the kids because you get to learn about so many different species in here, and it's just cool. It's cool. I just wish they would clean themselves up a lot more, like what we're gonna see for number 15. Number 15 on the list is the Audubon Society of Rhode Island Nature Center and Aquarium. Try saying that 5 times fast. Okay, this place is very puzzling because the aquarium is literally like the size of my thumb. It's tiny, but they have a lot of really cool species in here. Again, they rehab like some wild fish and stuff like that, so it's really cool to see that. But for the most part, their aquarium is very... I was gonna say liminal. It kind of does feel liminal once you're in there. But the benefit of this entire facility is that it's not just the aquarium. They also have some birds on the outside, which is cool. And they also host some ambassador bird shows with, I believe it's like some falcons and like, you know, some hawks, cravens, raven, I don't know. But they also have huge nature walk areas where it's like you're just walking on top of the salt marsh and stuff, and you walk all the way out to like the estuary. I'm not sure if it's an estuary. I definitely know it's the water. I definitely know it's the water. But you can see osprey out there, and I think we actually did see deer. And we saw a bunch of really cool birds like song sparrows, and we also saw like swifts. Not swifts, swallows. I think it was swallows. But overall, this place is pretty cool. I rate it just a little bit above Biomes, even though they don't have the animal selection as Biomes does. Audubon Society of Rhode Island Nature Center and Aquarium should honestly shorten their name, but also it's really about the quality there, and I feel like all the exhibits that they had there were top quality. They have a mix of like taxidermy with the aquarium stuff, which is kind of weird once you like actually see it in place, because their signage for like, let's just say they have a taxidermy heron, it's also the signage also right next to that has like the mummichogs and like, you know, the different fish that we have here, like the drums, and it doesn't separate whether it's alive or not, which is just a little weird. Oh my gosh. But it really is such a cool place. I love that place, especially because they have this little book nook where you can just sit, read a book, and you can look out to the bird feeder where we saw so many different wild birds. But not only that, but they also have like this little mini library gift shop or whatever, where they were selling a bunch of books for like $1 or $2 a piece, and these are like certified genuine nature guides where it's like $15-16 retail. Please go visit this place because it's really cool. Also, Bristol is just really pretty in Rhode Island, so definitely go there for a visit. Number 14 on our list is the New England Aquarium, very much settling in on these kind of like, you know, aquarium vibes over here. But New England Aquarium is relatively low on the list because the juice isn't really worth the squeeze, in my opinion. What they have at the New England Aquarium is phenomenal. I really do love their selection of fish. They have a whole like prehistoric fish selection where it's like you have all these bichers, you have all these lungfish and stuff in the same exhibit, and it's really, really awesome. They have like this really intense South America selection, and they also have local fish, like so many awesome local fish from all the way up from Maine all the way down to like Rhode Island, Connecticut. I think they might have a New York exhibit, but I could be mistaken that. But it really is such a fantastic institution. The issue is, oh my god, like this place is so expensive for what you get. Now listen, I tend to call this the aquarium tax, quote unquote, because aquariums have just gotten to be so expensive as of late. And I understand that, like, oh my gosh, yeah, there's all the filtration, there's the electricity, there's all the water that goes into this place. But like, I shouldn't be paying $50 for relatively the same takeaway experience that I got from like a zoo where I pay $20 to go to. Like, it just doesn't make sense to me. However, the New England Aquarium is pretty damn cool. I mean, they have a lot of really interactive exhibits. Their penguin exhibit is by far one of the coolest ones because you're looking down on them. And they also have rockhopper penguins, which are some of my favorites. Their sea lion seal exhibit really isn't the best. It is cool, but it looks like they're just at your local YMCA swimming pool. Like, there's no theming going on whatsoever over there. And it's just a little bit of a shame, but once you're actually back in the main rotunda, it is a beautiful experience. You get to see so many different fish. They have some sea turtles in there too, which is pretty cool, but overall, New England Aquarium is not really the best out there. I really wish it could be better because Boston does deserve a good aquarium, but really what we have from Boston right now is not the best. But oh my god, I was looking back in the day about like some concept art that they have where they would actually build like an extension out into the water, very much like Coral World in St. Thomas, I believe. I was able to go there as a little tyke. But no, it would be an underwater observatory where you could just examine the Boston Harbor, like with your own eyes underwater. I wish that were a thing. I really wish that were a thing, because that would completely turn this place on its head and it would bump it up the list so much. But unfortunately, they didn't go through with those plans, so it is a little bit of a shame. But that is it for the New England Aquarium. It deserves to be a lot better, but unfortunately, it just isn't. Number 13 on the list is one that I was not expecting to actually make it on the list, but I was so surprised when I actually did go here. So the American Museum of Natural History history in New York City is by far one of the best natural history exhibits that I've seen. This place has literally everything. It literally feels like you're a night at the museum, even though they don't have the Teddy Roosevelt statue. This place is cool. Like, this place is cool. And the reason why it's on the list is because it does have an insect zoo, and there is a full list that I was able to kind of complete with all the insects on here. So you do get some relatively common animals on here. I've seen a couple of these at some different institutions, but you tend to get some really interesting ones at that. Just because an animal is common doesn't mean that it's not cool, you know? But that's really just a tiny chunk of this place. Really, the reason why this is on the list is because it has everything. It literally has everything. It has cultural history, it has natural history, it has space, it has taxidermy. I can talk about this place for hours, but I really feel weird about it being on a zoo list over here, so I'm just gonna keep on going and continue with number 12. Number 12 goes to Franklin Park Zoo. This place is always pretty cool, but unfortunately it suffers from a lack of animals. Like, I hate to say it, but the main drawback of this place is you are just walking for minutes on end without seeing a single animal. I'm particularly thinking about the stretch between like the main entrance all the way up until like the tropical dome and stuff like that, where you really aren't seeing any animals, or from the other way around, from the tropical dome up until the lions. There's nothing. There's literally nothing to look at, and it just takes away from the zoo because they have oodles amount of space, but they aren't doing anything with it. Not to mention that they used to have old hoofstock rows where those empty spaces were. It's like, I just wish they would take advantage of that because I want this zoo to be so good. Boston deserves like a really good zoo. I mean, just look at Zookeeper, which was coincidentally filmed here. I love that little tidbit, but I don't know, Franklin Park Zoo is great. The tropical dome has this very, very awesome vibe about it. You get nothing like that anywhere else, except for maybe Omaha. But I feel like until I actually go to Omaha, I'm just gonna say that this one is the best tropical dome that I have been to, at least. It's really cool. It is really cool, but the issue is, it's just too big for its britches, if that makes sense, or if the britches are too big for it. I don't know. But Franklin Park Zoo has a lot of really cool species. The tropical dome really does stand out. Their bird area really isn't the best. The main thing that holds the bird area up, and I'm including the birdhouse in this, is the entire like walk-through aviary, because that is just mind-blowing right there. I mean, you're walking through like an entire cage filled with like some of the scariest raptors out there. You're literally walking through Jurassic Park. It is so cool. I know I say that every single time I talk about this place, but it really does. It really does. But yeah, overall, Franklin Park Zoo isn't the best one out there. I think it's fairly interesting for what you get. I think it's absolutely worth the visit every year for myself. But the issue is, I just wish they would do more with the space, which it seems like they're on track to do. I mean, they're getting, I believe, African penguins soon, which is going to be very good for, like, that big open plaza area when you walk right into the zoo from the main entrance. Like, that is going to be so, so good. It's going to give the zoo so much more life, but I really look forward to seeing what New England Zoo, that's the parent of both Franklin Park Zoo and Stone Zoo, do with that big open space and like the other big open spaces, because this zoo deserves so much more. Number 11 on the list, we're taking a trip 15 minutes from this place. We're going to Stone Zoo in Stoneham, Massachusetts. Now listen, Stone Zoo, while it is small, I think the quality really does stand out. For what you get out of Stone, even if you're like a little bit further away, like I am myself, I'm about like an hour, maybe an hour 15 drive from this place, it really is a really cool zoo. It really is so pretty. Their Sierra Madre exhibit is just fantastic. I'm so happy that they have that in there, because it really does go to show that you can do some really incredible things with themings and like exhibits and stuff like that, even if you are New England. But Stone Zoo is pretty cool. It does have its little downsides. I think Windows to the Wild is atrocious. I think that they should honestly tear that down and do something different with the space, because while they do have a bunch of cool animals in there, the presentation is just awful. It's like you're looking into really bleak exhibits. You're looking into like really bleak indoor areas, and it's just not the best. I think that what they have on hand, they can do so much more with. They really can. They can make so much more out of that space, but everything else to me is just really good. It's not mind-blowing like some of the stuff that's later on the list over here, but it really is so, like, bottom line, this place is good. I think their Yukon Trail, which is kind of like their North American trail in this case, is really cool. They have Canadian lynx, they have porcupine, they have bald eagle, and it's so pretty. It is so pretty. You're literally walking through forested areas, and it culminates with a American black bear exhibit, which is a fairly decent one too. I love Stone Zoo. I really do. And I think it really does deserve higher on this list. The issue is, I just think that they could do so much more with a little bit more of the crappier places in the zoo, all things considered. And yeah, that's really it. Let's move on. We have officially entered the top 10. And we're going to kick it off with the Save the Bays Hamilton Family Aquarium. Now, this is kind of like the Audubon Society of Rhode Island Nature Center and Aquarium. Try saying that 5 times fast again. But the thing is, this place is just quality. Oh my god. I've been here twice already. I went there twice this year, and it's the newest aquarium in Rhode Island. That's how it's kind of coined. But it really is so impressive to see what they were able to do with this new space, because they used to be located about like 20 minutes down the road from here, but they moved and completely restructured everything. So once you walk into this place, it is a modern aquarium, but of course it doesn't have animals from like, you know, Southeast Asia, or it doesn't have like, you know, Caribbean animals. This place is entirely made out of New England animals, and it is so cool. It is really awesome. Not only do they have a bunch of local fish, which is cool, but they also have some local reptiles and herps, which are like the diamondback terrapin, one of my favorite species out there. But they also have like, I believe, musk turtles. They have some toads, frogs, and an alligator snapping turtle. Really, really good lineup over here. But I really am just such a fan of how they were able to kind of make this place look pretty. And I don't know, I just really like it. I can't wait to go again next year. It seems like they don't have that much room for expansion, which is just a little bit of a shame. I want to see them do so much more with this space, because the issue is you're not going to spend too much time in here, but it really is so cool. It, like, as someone who understands how much work it is to kind of operate an aquarium, or even like, you know, make an entirely new space, I'm very impressed with what they were able to do. And I understand the qualms of like, you're paying $30 to go to a place for 30 minutes. Of course, I'm different. I like to spend a little bit longer at these places, but overall, I think that the new location is great for what they have, and I really hope that they expand on that in the future. Number 9 on the list is one that I am so excited for. This is Zoologico Lisboa, and this is like so good. It is so good. This has been my first European zoo, which is just so crazy to say. But Zoologico Lisboa was a fantastic experience. We literally went right here from the airport, basically. We checked into our Airbnb and we were like, okay, let's just get the zoo over with at this point. Because that was what I was most excited to do. And rightfully so. This place is great. There were just a little bit of downsides in here, I would personally say. I think that there were some habitats that really shouldn't be here. I'm particularly thinking about the bear habitat. The macaque habitat is spacious, but it was just so old. You'll probably see it in the videos as I'm talking about this place, but I really do wish that the Japanese macaques had a little bit more of a modern space, because when you look at all the other primate exhibits in here, like the gibbons, like the gorillas, the chimpanzees, the orangutans, they're all on like these very beautiful islands, and they have a ton of climbing space. But the macaques kind of just got shafted, and it just looks like crap. I don't know. But don't let that discourage you about this place. What I was able to see here has been fantastic. Their tiger exhibit was really cool. Their lion exhibit was really cool. Their elephant habitat was just recently expanded upon, which is just really awesome to hear. Like, I love that stuff. Their entire African mammal selection was really, really great too. And I was able to see a lot more rare kind of animals than typically what I would see in the United States. I was able to see some kind of rare hoofstock, which is cool. But it's not really impressed by, but it was just a different feeling. Their reptile house was just weird, but in like the best way possible. It felt kind of dirty, but I kind of like that. Like, it's so weird to say because I'm talking about like these dirty places like at the start of the list over here, but I'm like, oh man, but if Europe does it, it's like different, which kind of is true because it made me feel nostalgic for a time that wasn't always there, or a time that I never really experienced. Now, do I really wish that they would refurbish this indoor area? Yeah, like I really do. But I'm happy that they have this indoor area for all of these reptiles. It was really cool. I even saw a giant African land snail, which was really, really awesome. Oh my gosh, that was a little treat right there. I did not expect them to have that, a little Planet Zoo animal. But I don't know. I think it's a pretty damn good zoo. I think it's worth it to visit if you're an animal fan in Portugal. Obviously the aquarium it's very much higher on the list than this, but if you're in the area, definitely go give this place a visit. All right, number 8 on the list is Southwick Zoo, and Southwick is just a fantastic place to visit for the summertime. It is New England's biggest zoo, and while it's not my favorite in New England, it really is one of the best. Like, there's no question about it. They have so much stuff in here. They have a great bird show. They have a great everything. They have the little sky tram, which I'm not sure how much longer that's going to be operational, because I know zoos are kind of like tending to phase them out, which is a little bit of a shame because they're always one of my favorite things. But I don't know. I'm just gonna say Southwick Zoo is pretty damn good. They have the deer forest, which is awesome. They have a whole bunch of different rare animals too, which is great. Mostly monkeys. But again, it's the same thing as Zoologico Lisboa. They do a really great job with some exhibits. Like, let's just say, for example, Southwick's new Siamang exhibit. It is so good. Their spider monkey exhibit, so good. But then you look at like the DeBraza monkey exhibit, then you look at like the Capuchin exhibit, and it's just these old monkey cages that really shouldn't be there anymore. Like, I think that they could keep those buildings, but just turn them into aviaries. Fun fact, that is actually what Southwick Zoo started off of. It was originally a bird park, but they started getting more species. But I really do think that they should embrace their roots, change those out to be like bird exhibits, and just do new structures for like all the primates. Because I'm not really a big fan of seeing them in like these chain link enclosures. I really think that they could do so much better than that, especially now, after seeing what they're doing as of late with like these really beautiful modern climbing frames and like these modern exhibits. I really hope that they can, you know, not only just expand, but improve. That is something that I really wish all zoos kind of focus on too, is just take what you have and make it better. And I know that's so much easier said than done, but I mean, we literally saw it with Southwick's. They made an entirely new Siamang exhibit, and it's just really good. I don't know. Southwick's also does now have snow leopard, which is so cool. Oh my god, I completely forgot about that. So it's so weird because Southwick's is closed in the wintertime, mostly, if you're not going for like, you know, the zoo lights or whatever. So the snow leopard doesn't really make sense to me because they don't do too well in the heat. So it is just a little bit weird that they opted for that instead of going for another leopard, like a Amur leopard or like Zoo Mix or whatever. But I don't know. Southwick's always good visit. I don't know. I can't wait to go again next year. Number 7 on the list is one that I was so excited to visit this year, and for good reason too. It turned out to be really awesome. The Prospect Park Zoo in New York City is so freaking good. What they were able to do with the space has been incredible. Oh my god. So I coined this in its own little short as basically Central Park Zoo, but not for tourists. It's for the locals, you know? I know that's such a faux pas to say, but whatever. I don't care. So this is Brooklyn's Borough's zoo, which is very cool. And it's just so awesome. They have the Hall of Mammals, or Hall of Animals, I forget what it's called. But it is just this incredible exhibition for all these different animals from all around the world, but really what takes my eye is that Hamadryas baboon exhibit. Once you actually get there, it is so beautifully integrated into like the guest area too, that like the rockwork continues onto the guest seating. It is just incredible just to sit here and watch these kind of like these congregations of these baboons really play with each other, groom each other, even fuck each other. But no, this place is great. This place is really awesome. Not only do they have that, but they also have like incredible outdoor areas too. They have the palace cat, which is just so adorable to watch like explore its habitat. It was my first second palace cat. I also saw it at Columbus, but it was the first palace cat I was actually able to see active, which is such a life-changing experience. And again, they also have their sea lion exhibit, pretty much standard for any New York zoo or aquarium. But what I was super impressed by was their discovery trail, which had poodoo, it had dingo, it had emu, it had all these like kind of weirder animals, which was such a treat to see. Even like porcupines, even, I don't know, what else did they have? I forget. But it was just a really cool experience. I don't know. I'm a big fan of like the parts of the zoo that you don't really think about when you think of like that main central area, but you start to think about it and you're like, oh my god, that really does stand out. Prospect Park Zoo really does have a lot of that old zoo charm. It's essentially what you think of when you think of like, oh man, the original zoos and stuff like that. Their buildings are beautiful. Oh my gosh, it's great. And not only that, but like it's super easy to get there too. Like it's literally just a hop, skipping away from the subway station, which is really good. It's like a probably 15-minute walk, and across the street from the Prospect Park Zoo is, I believe, the Botanical Gardens. So I wasn't able to go, but if you do tend to be in the area, go stop by, give that a look, because I bet it's really pretty. But yeah, Prospect Park Zoo, it's so good. It is so freaking good. I am so happy I was able to go, and I can't wait to go again because that place is just incredible. Number 6 on our list is the Mystic Aquarium, located in Mystic, Connecticut. Again, this place is just great. It's great. They have belugas. What more could you want? Well, I could want a lot more, but this place is just so freaking good. When I went, it was relatively later in the year, and they were doing some refurbishments to like the seal habitat, so they were in their rehab pool. But Mystic Aquarium is always good for a visit, but I really recommend going on an off day or something, because if you go on the weekend, it is atrocious. Like, I'm so sorry, but it absolutely ruined my experience the last time I went, because there were so many, like, I hate to say it, but rude people. Like, it's terrible, the kinds of clientele you get at these institutions who are banging on the glass of like the aquariums, who are just like harassing the animals in the touch tank. They're not listening to the keepers stationed over there. They're pushing you out of the frickin' way. Like, oh my god, learn some freaking manners. Holy crap. But Mystic Aquarium is always good for a visit, and if you're able to go on an off day, it's great. What you're able to see at this place is, like, it's mind-blowing. Their exhibitry is beautiful, especially their coral reefs, because they have so many, like, live coral reefs in here, which is just so impressive to see. Not only that, but they also have peacock mantis shrimp, which is just awesome. Oh my god, I freaked out when I saw them. But they are slowly but surely getting rid of some exhibits. I was so upset that they got rid of the New York Sound exhibit, which had, like, some local freshwater New York ecosystem fish in there, like I think it was like pumpkin seeds and bluegills and stuff like that. I know they're not everyone's favorite fish out there, but I love seeing those, like, quote unquote boring local native fish. Like, it just makes me happy to see those, but it made me sad to see it go. And yeah, they also have their sea lion show, which is, like, it's fine. I'm not a big fan of what it is nowadays compared to what it used to be, but I guess that's just the changing times. I guess that's just what happens when people make new exhibits and stuff like that. But yeah, Mystic Aquarium, always good for a visit, but definitely visit when it's in the off season, because besides that, it's kind of atrocious. But also, Mystic Village is right next door. Go to Mango's if you're hungry. It's a great place. And now we have officially entered the top 5 zoos that I was able to visit this year. And we're going to start off strong with number 5 being the New York Aquarium. This one just beat out Prospect Park Zoo because it did so much more with so much less space. This place is so freaking awesome. They have all these different exhibits, from like invertebrates with a really, really robust invertebrate collection, including sea jellies. They have octopi. They have some really, really, really cool, like, I don't know, like lobsters. They have Caribbean spiny lobster. They have American lobster. And it's just so cool. Not only that, but they also have a little bit of a children's aquarium in there too. You're not seeing children in a fish tank. It's made specifically for children, but their exhibitry in there is just really, really pretty. They seamlessly integrate playground sets into like aquariums, which is really, really interesting to see. I don't know. But beyond that, they also have a beautiful little aviary in there for like, terns and like, I think it was an oyster catcher or an avocet. I forget what it actually was, but it's just a really, really beautiful exhibit. It wasn't fully functional when we went, but I don't know, it's just fairly interesting to visit if it's in its prime. But that's literally just one part of this place. They have an entire exhibit dedicated to sharks, like sharks raised in all those kinds of cartilaginous fishes. Really, really awesome exhibitry in here. I think that some of the storytelling that the WCS, that is kind of like the parent company of the Bronx Zoo, of the New York Aquarium, Central Park Zoo, yada yada, that's their dad over there. That's their dad. But I think the storytelling and the exhibitry and the education that they do is bar none the best ones that you're able to see anywhere else. Like, they have this little interactive trash exhibit where it's like you hit a few buttons to clean up trash in a habitat using mirrors and stuff. It is so cool. I love that kind of technology. But beyond that, they have just really, really awesome exhibits for their mammals. They were currently housing some sea otters in there, which were rescued. Very cool stuff. But they also had a bunch of sea lions and seals, which also participate in their sea lion show, which Pickles a seal. Always happy to see him. Oh my god, I can't wait to go back just to see Pickles. But it was like the first sea lion show I was able to see a seal participate in, which is just mind-blowing to me. I love that. Like, I could talk about New York Aquarium for days on end, but at the end of the day, this place is so awesome. Like, it is just so good. And the exhibit, like, I completely blanked out on the starting exhibitry in here, because once you actually enter the building, you're greeted by this beautiful Caribbean tank with all these different fish in here, including the slippery dick. But no, it is just so good. Then you go to the next room and you get these really beautiful Amazon tanks. It's awesome. It really is so awesome. And I'm so happy to hear that, like, no, I'm not happy to hear. I'm so happy that I was able to go, because this place has been on my radar for so long, and it really does stand out as one of the best aquariums I've been to, but it's not the best one. We'll get to that one in a bit. Number 4 on the list goes to none other than Roger Williams Park Zoo. This is my local zoo. I go here very often. I go here, I think I've been here at least 20 times this year, because I work right next door, so I literally go on my break. But this place is just incredible. Like, I don't know. It's not as mind-blowing as, some of the others on this list, but it really is just home to me. I was able to see the zoo grow from when I was just a little baby, when my parents took me, up until like now, where it's like, oh man, they actually added new signage for this animal. That's kind of cool, where I'm noticing like those tiny things. And I know that's not necessarily what makes a zoo good, but listen, this is my list. I get to decide what goes on here. This is a sentimental value going in here. I'm sure your local zoo probably takes the cake over something that objectively might be a little bit better, but the memories that you have at that place just outrank it. But overall, I think Roger Williams Park Zoo is just a quality zoo. I think that what they have really stands out as some of the best in the class, especially World of Adaptations. I love that little trail. I love the Barbarossa exhibit. It just feels so awesome, like you're looking into like this little forested area. I love like the King Vulture exhibit, even though I never spend time in there. It really is cool to see that King Vultures exist, I suppose. But I don't know, it's just this entire zoo just feels so home to me. But not only that, they are constantly doing improvements to the zoo as well. Their Himalayan area has just absolutely taken a turn for the better. They constantly redo old exhibits, and in particular, I'm thinking about that Red Panda exhibit remaster that they did. They completely turned this place on its head, and now the Red Pandas have like twice the amount of space. They have an indoor area too, where it's going to be nice and cool in the summertime, so that these animals won't be uncomfortable. It really is so impressive, and it really makes me so happy to see that my local zoo cares so much, not only for expansion, but for the general welfare of what animals they have currently on hand. But yeah, this place is great. I absolutely love the tropical house, even though it's not nearly as good as what it used to be in the past. The tropical house really is cool for the species that they have. I wish it didn't feel so industrial in there, because it really is such a cool experience with some really cool animals. But then you look up and then you see all this HVAC, very bright HVAC. It's like not even like they try and hide it. It really is just a little bit of a shame, but it is kind of cool, like in like some kind of weird industrial lover way, I suppose. Like if this were a Planet Zoo build, I think that this thing would be the coolest thing in the world, but it kind of sucks that it's in real life because it just feels so, I don't know, it feels so out of place. I don't know. But overall, they're doing some really incredible things for improvements. They actually did break ground on the Ed Center, which is something very awesome that we're going to see soon. Hoping that it brings in a few more tinier exhibits just to help flesh out the roster of Roger Williams Park Zoo, because they currently have a lot of really great kind of like standout animals, but I really think that they need to work on smaller animals that they keep, like more frogs, more reptiles and stuff like that, because I feel like that's such a lacking area for Roger Williams Park Zoo that I just really want the best for them, you know? Number 3 on the list, we are taking a trip back to Portugal. We are going to the Oceanario Lisboa. I was able to visit this guy about like 7 years ago or so, and I was dreaming about going back to this place because I wasn't back in my animal phase back then. But guess what, baby? I am still in. So when my fiance and I were planning the trip to Portugal, I was like, we have to go here. We have to go here. And she's like, what the hell? It's just an aquarium. It can't be that good. But oh my God, the look on her face when we started to make our way through this, it was incredible. This place has to be the best aquarium I've been to, bar none. What I was able to see here has been so inspirational that it just makes me want to go back day after day after day. So the entire place is located on top of the ocean. It was made from the buildings of the World's Fair way back in the day when Lisbon was the host to it. So it's located on top of the water, which actually gives you a good chance to see wild sea jellies. I believe I saw Portuguese blubber jellies, which was really, really awesome before we even entered the actual aquarium. But there's just so much to unpack here. Let's talk about the freshwater section. We're going to talk about Forest Underwater by Takashi Amano. So yeah, in case if you don't know Takashi Amano, he used to be a very prolific aquascaper back in the day. Unfortunately, he has passed away, but his work lives on in this exhibit. It is so beautiful. Even when you're just sitting here and just looking at the fish, looking at these landscapes, it is so inspirational. And it's really what brought me back to this place. The entire aquarium is great, but what I was able to feel in this exhibit alone, no other zoo exhibit has driven me to tears. Like, that is how emotional this place got me, because it's like the music by Rodrigo Lau, I believe that's his name. It's just so, it makes you feel so at peace with nature. It really makes you feel like you're looking at an art installation, because that's quite literally what aquascaping is. You're making art, but instead of paint or sculpting clay or stuff like that, you're using living organisms to make something beautiful. And that's not to say that it's like, oh, one of those very unethical, I put a goldfish in a shoe and I filled it with water. No, it's not like that. It's it's beautiful because it has a harmony of making something beautiful for the human eye, but also making something that's so sustainable and livable for the organisms in there, that the artist shows a true respect not only for the people viewing the exhibit, but for the animals who live within it. Okay, sorry for yapping about that for minutes on end. The Oceanario is just so good beyond that. what they have in here. They have Mola Mola, which is incredible. Like, the entire underwater exhibits are fantastic. So the way that you actually work through here, you have all these exhibits on the top end where you're looking into these aviaries with like these different birds, puffins, penguins. I think they actually had parrots back in the day for like the tropical ones. But from there, you actually look down into the water and you can see some different fish in here, like Garibaldis and all these different kinds of like other fish. But as you make your way through here, you're constantly circling the main tank, which has these really beautiful fish. But then you start to go downstairs and then it flips it on its head. Now you're looking at everything from the bottom layer and you're seeing all these new exhibits for fish, even some amphibians. There were a whole bunch of frog exhibits in here too, with like Portuguese salamanders and stuff. It's just incredible. It is just incredible. I cannot talk about this place enough because this has been like, it's rated the best aquarium in Europe, outranking Valencia, outranking like the one in Denmark, because of this immersive experience that you get as you make your way throughout here. It is so good. So yeah, at the end of the day, look up a tour of this place. There are several like 4K tours on Oceanario. You can see exactly what I mean because this place is beautiful. So number 2 on the list is the Columbus Zoo and Aquarium, located in Powell, Ohio, otherwise like right outside of Columbus. Okay, so I just want to preface this. Me and my good friend Nicholas Lionrider, we took out at 4 a.m. out of Rhode Island to go to this place, and we landed around like 10 o'clock. We had a layover somewhere. I don't really remember too much, but this place has been on my list for such a long time. We took a day trip out here and we got back at like, 2, 3 a.m., whatever. Columbus Zoo has everything made for it. Like, it is one of the best zoos I've been to. It is quite literally the feeling that you get when you go to like a theme park like Universal or Disney, but change that into all zoo, or maybe not all zoo because they also have like a splash, like a water park, and they also have like some roller coasters in there, but still it's all zoo. It's all zoo. So each area just feels so bombastically themed. And I know bombastic is such a weird word to use for that, but it is loud. This place is loud because Jack Hanna, I believe, who was the original like owner of this place, went crazy with it. Like, I don't know. It is so cool once you're actually in here because everything feels so... I essentially call it Cocomelon for, adults who love zoos, because you're constantly being stimulated by like the polar area, which is just this really intense mix of these natural landscapes from all this different stuff. And then you move that over to, let's just say, like the Africa area, where it's like, oh, you're in this in-universe kind of like safari park, this national wildlife park, stuff like that, where it's like the vervet monkeys have taken over, and then they rotate their exhibits every other day or so, and then you make your way over to Asia, and then you have these really intensely detailed temples where these orangutans are hanging out, and then you move your way all the way over to the islands, and you have this really beautiful nocturnal area. I cannot begin to sing this place's praises enough because it's so good. And we went when it was under construction too. What we saw is not the full Columbus Zoo experience. What they also have is like an entire they have an entire North American selection with bisons, with wolves, with pronghorns, all this stuff that wasn't currently active when we went to go see. But oh my God, when that becomes reality, it's going to flip it on its head. But guess what? They also have an entire aquarium too. Was that all not good enough? No, they also have an entire manatee house. Oh my God, this place, it feels crazy. It feels crazy once you're actually there, because you think that they can't do more, but then you go to the next exhibit and boom, guess what? They can. Even when we started off the day, we went right to Jack Hanna's Wildlife City or whatever. I forget what it's actually called, but it's where they have all the ambassador animals, and they flip these halfway throughout the day. So it's like the zoo changes as you are there. So you can walk right in, you can check out what animals are there for the first part of the day, you do the entire zoo, then on your way out, you just walk through the village and you can see what new animals you can see. It feels like you're gambling at a zoo, which, oh my God. Take that, Foxwoods Casino at Mystic Aquarium or whatever, I don't know. But Columbus Zoo really is so impressive, and I Cannot wait to go back. I have not been to the wilds yet. I'm sure the wilds is pretty good, but Columbus Zoo just stands out as one of the best ones I've been to. But there is one zoo that I went to in 2024 this year that completely outclasses every single other one. I cannot sing this place's praises enough. The Bronx Zoo, located in New York City. This place is great. Like, I cannot talk about the Bronx Zoo enough because this place has been such an inspiration to me for literally everything. Like, literally everything. I absolutely love the exhibits that they have in here. Everything from the old ones like World of Birds all the way up to the modern ones like Madagascar. And guess what? They're bringing World of Darkness back, baby. So I cannot wait to be there day one to see what World of Darkness is going to have in store for us. That is going to be so good. But yeah, I've talked about Bronx Zoo ad nauseum for like, you know, the last video too. So you can go back and watch that one. I think it was 2022. I could be wrong. But what Bronx Zoo has is just everything. It really does have everything. And while it is slowly but surely like getting better, I can't wait to see what they do in the future. I mean, everything with the monorail over Wild Asia, it is just so impressive to see all these rare hoofstock animals. Even though I could probably rehearse the script for the monorail at this point by heart, it makes me so happy to go. And also, we have to give a huge shout out to Ricky, the best tour guide ever. I was able to meet up with him, and he gave me a little bit of a mini tour of the Congo over there, which was so cool. It was just awesome. It's awesome. If you ever go on a tour, specifically ask for Ricky. You will not regret it. But essentially, the Bronx Zoo is great. It really is great. This year, I actually did go for my birthday, and what me and my fiance were able to do, we did an animal encounter too, which the animal encounters here, like, I should probably do an entire video on animal encounter pricing because sometimes some are just absolutely absurdly priced, like the giraffe encounter here. It is so expensive. It's like $300, but instead, if you do like the wild animal encounter, ambassador animal, whatever, you get to meet some incredible species over here that are super, super rare for not that much money. Like, in retrospect, it's probably like $80 or so, but it's just really, really, really awesome. It's so worth it. If you guys ever do make a trip to the Bronx Zoo, absolutely do an animal encounter, like one of the cheaper ones, because you really do get so much out of it. It's impressive. And also you get to meet like some of the keepers from the show, the zoo, which is really fun. I don't know, it's so cool. But yeah, Bronx Zoo absolutely outclasses everything else on this list because of the history that they have, of the current management that they have. Hi, Jim Brahini, how are you? But it's just everything from the staff. Even the food over here is pretty good. I'm not gonna lie. Food's pretty good at the Bronx. But yeah, Bronx Zoo, #1 of 2024, and I can't wait to see if anything outclasses it in 2025. But oh my god, that has been an incredible little ranking. I did not expect that to be so long. So let me know what zoos that you guys have been to this year. Let me know if you would change anything about this ranking. I know that this is all pretty much personal opinions. That's kind of the reason why Roger Williams is so high. I just love it so much. But let me know if you guys have your own zoo rankings out of this year. I can't wait to visit some more zoos next year. I can't wait to go back to the Bronx, and I can't wait to visit some in maybe South America. I just gotta finalize those plans. That'll be very interesting. But thank you all so much for watching. If you did watch all the way through to the end, I'm almost reaching up to like an hour in terms of recording time right now. I want to thank you sincerely from the bottom of my heart just for watching this all the way through, because it has been such a great year for me to visit zoos. I was able to visit 5 in one day. That was super fun. But really, I can't do this without your support. This hobby would not be as robust as it is without you guys watching, like all these videos that I put out. So I really, really do appreciate it. And I'm so curious to hear what you guys got into in 2024 and what your plans would be for 2025. So let me know in the comments down below. And yeah, hope you guys visit some incredible zoos in 2025. And I'll see you all in the next video. Take care and goodbye.